Hello everyone and welcome back to Warfiles, after 5 long years. I just read the comments on my very first video and I was so surprised to see the support and also how recent it was, so even if it's been a long time, I decided to at least finish this first series of videos. For all the newcomers in this channel, we discuss characters and units from games, movies and whatnot, and we do so using 3 main criteria. Physiology, what nature concocted. Equipment, what does it carry? And training, how well does it fight? We started from one of my most played games back in the days, which is Stronghold 2, and there's so little content about this game out there that it deserves more attention. In the first episode, we analyzed the regular units you can recruit from the barracks, while today we'll focus on the mercenary units. By definition, a mercenary is a professional soldier paid to fight in someone's army. Mercenaries existed since ancient Egypt, and it's still a profession to this day. By definition, these are soldiers that fight for a living, so you can expect them to be proficient and experienced in the art of war. They know the battlefield, so they won't rout like a group of levies, but at the same time, they hold no loyalty whatsoever to the cause and won't defend your city like one of your citizens will. They will fight hard for your money, but they value their skin above all else, so they will also run if it suits them. There is also a third option: betrayal. Your enemy may have deeper pockets than you, after all. Let's begin with the Pictish boat warrior. The Picts were an ancient kingdom in Scotland and they represented the main adversaries during Roman conquest. In true barbarian fashion, our warrior is almost naked save for a pelt that covers his hips. He is also covered in blue war paint, and the name Picts actually means the painted ones. This war paint has many purposes. It scares the enemy, making the warrior look savage and demonic. Romans testify to the psychological effects it had in battle. There might be a ritual or religious meaning behind them as well, and the painted warriors would feel protected by such a talisman and fight harder. Now, the obvious main gimmick of this unit is the boat. The Pictish warrior carries a little wooden boat which allows him to traverse bodies of water, attacking the enemy from unexpected positions. Besides the tactical advantage, the boat protects the warrior's back from arrows or other attacks. The sailor then uses his weirdly shaped battle axe as an oar. The axe seems double-edged, with some piercing capacity. Now, this unit is completely invented, just like the weapon, but to my surprise, not the boat. Wales and Scotland actually have a traditional single-person boat that can be carried on the back, named coracle, made from leather and twigs and was used by fishermen. Next, we have the axe thrower. In a similar fashion to the previous unit, the axe thrower has no proper armor besides his pelts and boots, but he is also wearing bracers, which are better than nothing, and a iron helmet. I'm guessing iron since Vikings didn't know how to make steel, and I'm sure you're aware horn helmets are pure fiction, but here they are nonetheless. The game states precisely that this warrior is indeed a Viking, alas a raider from Scandinavia. Their presence and history in the British Isles is prolific and well recorded. His weapons are implied in his name, axe thrower. He carries several throwing axes made of iron which he throws either one or two at a time. Historically, axe throwing was very rare. The Franks carried a single small axe called Francisca that they would throw as they were charging, then following up with hand-to-hand combat. Realistically, this unit could have a range of 12-15 meters at best and carry very few axes, I'd argue no more than 6. These low numbers would be balanced by the devastating power an axe has over an arrow. This unit also carries a dagger, which he never uses, relying on his twin axes for hand-to-hand as well, although poorly, as historical throwing axes, yes, could be used in close quarters, but were not built properly for that use. To close this first group of barbarian mercenaries, we have the renowned Berserker. This Nordic word means either bearskin, as some of them would wear animal pelts in battle, or a naked warrior, as some like ours would fight with no armor. To be fair, this berserker has the same garbs as the axe thrower: boots, bracers, and breeches, but in addition he wears huge, historically inaccurate shoulder pads covered in spikes. He carries a long sword on his back, but he never uses it, and his main weapon is the huge, double-edged battle axe. Although historically axes were almost never double-edged, it would make them heavier and unbalanced. Berserkers are famous for their rage, the wild abandon in which they charge the enemy, fighting to the death and losing all control in a drug-induced frenzy. A berserker won't rout, but at the same time won't follow orders in the midst of battle. Berserker records appear both in Germany and Scandinavia. All three of these units come from frozen, cold places, and all deserve the ability Cold Resistant. Where an English spearman would move and fight slower and rout easier, these units are used to extreme temperatures. Now we move to the next group of mercenaries, which I like to call the criminals: the thief, the outlaw, and the assassin. The thief is a unique unit as its main purpose is not on the battlefield. The thief is not a warrior, but a spy. He can disguise himself as a farmer and steal from your enemy's treasury. That's why he's wearing civilian clothes. Now this peculiar ability is valuable in espionage, but rather useless on the field. However, his skills in camouflage should grant him the ability Hide Master, allowing him to stay hidden in any terrain. If discovered, he carries an estoc for self-defense, a straight, thrusting sword which is perfect to pierce armor. As you can see from his fencing moves, he might not be suited to be a frontline warrior, but would work better in a duel. The Outlaw is a light infantry unit specialized in ambushes. Historically, bandits were a part of medieval life, assaulting people in caravans from forests to loot any valuables. He is wearing green clothing, including a hood and a face mask, and arguably some leather protection on his abdomen and arms. Being an ambush unit, he can't wear clumsy, noisy metal armor, and his green camouflage makes him undetectable in forests, granting him the trait Forest Traverser, with no movement penalty in wooded areas and the ability to stay hidden even while moving. He carries two weapons, a javelin and a short sword. In the game, he eventually recharges his javelin, while in reality he obviously wouldn't. A javelin range is around 20 to 40 meters to be effective, but being an ambusher, the outlaw can get much closer before being spotted. His main tactic is to overwhelm the enemy from multiple unexpected directions, as in a proper frontline fight he would lose against better equipped opponents. Lastly, we have the Assassin. Their origins shrouded in legend, assassins were a Shia Muslim sect active in Persia and Syria during the 11th to the 13th century. Their members carried off strategic key assassinations to protect their community from larger invading states like the Seljuks or the Crusader states. They were not employed in battle but in intelligence missions, and that's why they wore no armor but robes, to either disguise themselves or hide their features. This unit is covered in black robes, giving him no protection but swift movement, and granting him, much like the thief, the Hide Master trait. His weapon is the scimitar, a curved blade designed for slashing. He also carries a grappling hook that allows him to scale walls anywhere without the need for stairs, and to descend he somehow just jump off. The assassin's training was long and rigorous. They were taught stealth, languages, infiltration tactics, and religious obedience and sacrifice. Some speculate that assassins used drugs to initiate new members and convert them to their way of life. An assassin is a deadly warrior, trained in the art of killing but unequipped for drawn-out battle line fights. His many other skills make him perfect to capture gates or towers in a siege or strike the enemy from unexpected positions. The last two units are both mounted, so they both get the attribute large, meaning they can't climb stairs, they hide only in forests, and in forest they receive a debuff in combat. The first unit is the Horse Archer, who states very clearly his Arabian origin. Horse archery in the Arabian Peninsula was a military culture derived from the pre-Islamic Bedouin tribes. Just like this unit, they were lightly armored, adapted to the hot climate, and fast-moving. The horse in question is the legendary Arabian, one of the more renowned and precious horse breeds. They are of smaller size compared to European destriers, but they possess extreme endurance, speeds up to 60 km an hour in a sprint, agility, and a metabolism adapted to the desert. This unit deserves the trait heat resistant. The drapes you see on the horse are most likely ornamental, as proper protective caparisons would overheat and encumber the animal. The archer uses a composite bow shorter than a foot bow and more compact to be used on horseback. It is probably drawn with a thumb ring in true Eastern archery tradition. Arrows are kept in quivers on the back, which again is fictional. Riders would keep them directly on the saddle. The ammunition would probably be around 30 iron tips arrows. The armor is minimal considering the climate. The headgear is to protect the rider from the sun and dusty winds. In close combat, surprisingly, he doesn't draw a secondary weapon, which would instead historically be a curved sword made of steel, called a saif. The great advantage of this unit is the ability to shoot while moving, and with its superior speed, it can kite slower opponents, peppering them with arrows. The Arabian horse archer is a master rider, as horsemanship is learned from early childhood. For the Bedouin style of life, it is considered a sacred art, and combining faith, horse, and bow is their chivalric ideal. This unit is expert in hit-and-run tactics, coordinated skirmish attacks, harassment, reconnaissance, and fast pursuit. Our last unit for today is the light cavalry, also called Hobilar. Historically, Hobilars were the light cavalry of the British Isles, especially Ireland, and the name comes from their mount, the hobby horse. Similarly sized as the Arabian, although not as fast or endurable, it played a similar role as a fast, maneuverable horse. He is moderately armored, with padded leather armor on his chest, what seems to be chainmail under it, and a skullcap or cervelier to protect his head. He is also carrying a wooden round shield, and his main weapon is a thrusting spear. This loadout is pretty historically accurate, while the armor on the horse is not. Being light cavalry, Hobilars are not meant to stay in combat for a long time. They were meant to avoid head-on clashes, not endure them. In the game, however, the horse is barded similar to a destrier, with a chamfron for the head and a crinet for the neck. Training-wise, they were learning horsemanship from a very young age, but their combat training was far less formal than that of a knight. Hobilars belonged to the lower gentry or the yeoman class, above peasants but nowhere near noble families. The light cavalry role in battle is reconnaissance, pursuit of enemies, and quick flanking attacks on siege equipment or enemy skirmishers. Well, this was everything for today's video, and stay tuned for part 3, in which we'll discuss warrior monks and siege equipment.